Now that we've all had a good while to recover from the white morning, that terrible dream, let's see if Harry's got, the can opener himself has got it left in him to finally crack open this case.
Green paint flicks off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard.
I feel like if I press the keys, then it'll start up. All right, what is this then?
The console of an anti-computation device. The generator upstairs, with wires coming out. They terminate here.
Okay, so he's hooked this up to control it. Could this open the blast door?
Possibly. Urgence, ouvert, allumé, radiodiffusé. It sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does.
Radio diffuse? Is that like sending out radio signals? I'm just trying to to work out what French words are. I have no idea what ouvert or allumé is.
This device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer.
Also, we could actually use it to call people. So, emergency open will probably... Okay, how about we just turn on the lights first? Interior lights on.
Nothing happens.
Oh, maybe he's disconnected them. The radio?
The dial slides under the glass, silently. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words, Feld Insula, are written on the band.
Insular. This is an off-air radio computer, I believe, used for military communications.
Oh, one of those really high-level ones that Suna wanted but couldn't get.
It's an air-gapped system, an off-air military model. Its circuits are nearly impossible to bend, i.e., it cannot be remote-controlled.
Okay, emergency. Open!
We need to restore power before using this, officer.
Oh, I see.
The generator, it didn't look like there was fuel in it.
Oh, right. I wasn't putting that together. I thought that just pressing some buttons would turn the generator back on.
We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it.
He looks into the dim light to his right.
The boat engine.
I mean, there are also just big drums of fuel that are leaking everywhere. And that is our way back. Or we could get some from the boat engine, if we'd have to.
But officer, then we would have to swim back to the mainland. Let's just look around, okay?
Yeah, you're right.
The console stands by.
So I assume it's going to be those leaky barrels outside. There's that terrible, greasy nightmare bed. And wasn't he coughing up blood as well? Isn't that what Kim said at the end of last time? I mean, he was shot in the leg. Why would he coughing blood? Is there something even worse underlying wrong with him? The barrel has run empty. There's almost nothing inside. Not enough fuel. You have to look elsewhere. Okay, probably nothing else down here, but let's press the button for checking around mode. Who's honking? No honking. Calm down. Okay, maybe out the other way. He did look to his right, although it depends on where he was standing. I assume that... Oh, I thought I was downstairs for a second. I assume that it's intending for me to go out back down to where the chain and all that stuff is. Though I don't remember seeing any fuel out here either. Probably nothing down there, no. But maybe I missed something on the beach, or something will only become relevant now that I know I'm looking for fuel. God, I love the way that they designed the graphics for this game. This painterly look to everything is so cool. You can just see all the brushstrokes in the world. I know I should have commented on that way earlier, but I've just been thinking it for the longest time. The depot that supplied this chain is long gone from the coast. It doesn't seem like there's anything out here. Can we go up this little... Oh, hey, we can. The pain in your pelvis makes you wince, then you continue. It doesn't help that I'm running. The inside of the fortress. You make out the console and the blast door. Is that accessible? No, it's not. Hey, that looks like it could be fuel. Another bed, too. Take another nap.
There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall.
I wonder if this could be where our shot came from.
B triple prime. This looks like a good place to shoot from.
Well, let's look at the mattress first.
A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns. And an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts.
Do not pick one out of the can.
That embrasure, what can you see through it?
Because he's probably going to pick it up and try to smoke it if I let him do that. Inspect the wall.
There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window.
Touch the concrete first.
Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain.
Look through the hole.
The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. Trepidation, a tingling feeling in your stomach.
What is that feeling? Is it because I'm feeling like this is the right one? This is the place?
A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting. 1 kilometer across the water. The ruins look familiar.
On the left?
A towering skyscraper, its top floors shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside apartments.
We are very familiar with them.
Lane, 33A and 33B.
On the right?
The red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the Whirling in Rags, Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 10, the doomed commercial area.
And between the two?
The box-shaped silhouette of the Whirling in Rags. Its sloped roof, a tiny fleck of light catches your eye on the rooftop, sunlight reflecting off the upstairs window of Clausia's room.
Motherfucker.
What does that mean? Do you have line of sight to the window?
Oh, yeah, I do.
More than that.
Kim, with a pair of binoculars, I would be able to see inside the room.
A pair of binoculars? Or a scope of a rifle?
Uh-huh.
You'd be prone, lying on a mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure.
Cheek against a cheek rest, hand on the hair trigger, on a calm day like this.
I mean, I did miss that shot with the body right in front of me, but Kim, I could make it. I could make this shot.
Good. I think we have it, detective. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest.
Affirmative.
Booyah, master cop work.
It's only moderately effective cop work until we have the weapon.
Just
It will not be, how do you say it? Booyah? Until we have that.
How do you say it? And I also got, what was that, hyperstellar cop something for the achievement. Could the shooter still be here?
Where?
On this island? No, but right here on the mattress. It's me. No, on the island.
He does not answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says,
We should move now.
Yeah, definitely. Because if he's here, he probably knows we're here. He probably heard the boat coming up, and he knows we're gallivanting through his stuff. And I did take a very long and so restful nap. So he's probably watching us. An old medicine cabinet, newly stocked with dramamine. A weathered artillery map showing coordinates in the Bay of Revachol. And Lum fuel canister. Let's take a look. There's still some fuel in this battered canister, a liter or two. The metal looks decades old. The logo of the automotive manufacturer Lum has faded on the side. You feel eyes on your back. Someone's watching you, but you can't say where. I knew it. Where could that guy be? I mean, I guess he would be on the other side of the blast door, because there is another section of the island that we've just yet to go to. Also, I'm gonna just like do regular quick saves just in case the game decides that it wants to have a fit again. I know I upset Volition, so maybe I should just not upset Volition in the future.
This old cylindrical generator waits with its fuel cap open.
Alright, fill her up.
The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch.
Like starting a lawnmower. Pull the rope!
The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
Oh, and it's inside too. I mean, it's a good thing this place is so busted open, because the smoke that thing was putting out would fill this place up with like carbon monoxide.
That should do it.
Let's get this place lit up. I'm thinking of like the lights before anything else.
A dim golden glow animates the console. Faint, like a ghost light. Urgence ouvert reads one dial key. Allumer reads another.
Is allumer like illuminate? And urgence is kind of like emergency? Urgent, you know?
It's on. Turn emergency open.
I see. Yeah, it is.
Automatic boot.
Can I just turn the lights on?
The lighting in the room turns on with a sizzle, a dim ambient orange.
I'm curious about the radio, though.
The dial slides under the dusty glass, dark and
we've heard
silent.
that.
Insular.
Yeah.
It's an air-gapped system, an off-air
I thought
military
maybe we
model.
could pick up
Its
something.
circuits are nearly impossible to bend.
Okay. Emergency.
The blast door
Open.
opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in.
What is going to be through here? I wonder, does it just go to the other side of the island, or is it a whole new section of this fort? Because I don't think the fort was this big.
After you.
I'm damaged. Come on, Kim. Before, outside, when we were walking around the sand, I felt someone watching me. What if we can do another fight? Yeah, there's someone watching.
So did I. Not back there, but I felt it since we came here.
What's there? Point to the door.
I don't know.
What if we get into another fight?
Don't worry. I have a gun.
But you're a binoclard. Takes out his side arm, checks the barrel, then holsters it again.
Harry, this reminds you, you're out of bullets.
Ah, shit. Do you have any spares? My gun's out of bullets.
Then it's extra good that mine is not.
I see. Let's go. Okay, he did say he wants to check outside first. I don't know if anything else will come of like having a little walk around out here, but I don't want to miss anything that I might pick up. Although he could have a rifle trained on us right now. No little baubles gonna come up? Come on, give me the baubles. Okay. I guess it was just a way to bring it up to Kim so that he could say he felt it too. When am I going to find, by the way, the last piece of armor? Do I have the armor equipped? God, I feel like maybe I should have the armor equipped. Because I've got on the conceptualization shirt and, oh, the composure shoes. Okay, let's put on the armor on. And that armor. I got the gloves on already. There has to be, like, it has to be a pair of pants, right? I mean, it could also be a helmet, because that one guy was wearing a really crazy, like, death head helmet. Okay, let's do it. Not that I even think that the armor really does anything for my defense, but I just feel better having it on. It's an inner tube. A very deflated inner tube. Small white flowers blossom all around you. A rubber dinghy. It's deflated, broken. Oh, that's the upper level back there. Nothing around the back. Oh, there is someone there and he's got a gun. Sir? Are you our murderer?
An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours.
He has... Is he a Soulite also? Because he kind of has that Asian look to him. I wonder what kind of accent he'll have when he speaks.
Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp.
Yeah, I can say all these, right? Because there are proceed things down there. Are you the fire guy?
The what now? I can't hear you.
Did you recently tell 2 kids to put out their fire? 2 twins? That's why I'm here, to ask him if he's been harassing children.
I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up.
What do you mean? Look at my hat. I'm a communist. You've retained your eyesight, I see.
My eyesight? Yes. Helps me see all the shit.
Did you close the blast door?
I did. And you opened it. How?
The generator. I used the console.
I should have burned that console down.
He shakes his head. How did you know I was coming?
Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
You didn't say that. It was not rock and roll, it was sad FM. You didn't say it. You complained, but you didn't say not to.
I did.
We have entered a world where he said you shouldn't. It is the only world.
All right, Kim, whatever you say. And it wasn't rock and roll, it was sad FM.
Sad FM, huh? I always hated that station. Phlegmatic, counter-revolutionary dirges. Sadness is a mental illness, a weapon of the bourgeoisie. The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate, hip gyrating, mental illness music.
Man, this guy is a delight. Can't wait to find out what his whole deal is. Nice gun you got there.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done.
Is it a Bill McGraw?
It's a 3-Angong 446.
Southeast Samarin made. Exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A samurai rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid.
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
I heard about the Xinyao commune.
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk, white from the board.
His gaze turns inwards.
He's right. Almost no one remembers there was a third metastasis of the world revolution in the Safarid Empire, extinguished in 06.
Apparently I remember it. It's not wiped from the board. I remember it.
They wouldn't like hearing their name in your mouth. Damn dog.
The time will come to win his trust, comrade. It is not now. You need to take care of the gun first.
Your weapon has stayed true to you. Mine has stayed true to me, too. I mean, it would have been truer if I had actually hit Titus, but maybe that's just more my fault than the guns. Or, not Titus, what is his name? Cordy. I was thinking if I had saved Titus, and I said the wrong thing. I need you to put down the guns so we can talk. We're with the police. He will not respond well to that. I'm with the police. He's not going to respond to that either. Okay, that's probably the best. Mine has also stayed true to me.
Yes, I bet you've killed a lot of people with it. You fascist fuck. Have you come to make me one of them?
His grip on the rifle tightens.
His right eye twitches. With what? Fear? Rage?
We have come to ask you questions. Nothing more.
The lieutenant puts his hand on his holster.
If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
Another spitball lands in the ashes. That's all the answer he gives. Yeah, I guess I have to do one of these. Put the gun down so we can talk. Alright, I'm with the police. You can keep the gun, but keep it down. Not one move. Because he won't like being disarmed. But this, he'll probably also not like this, but he'll be like, of course I can keep it.
No.
Oh, I see. The lieutenant aims his pistol square at the man's head and says,
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
The old man lays the rifle down carelessly, then looks at it lying there.
Like an amputated limb in the sand. He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
You say, all right, what did you say?
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present.
The present to be afraid, cold.
The old man pulls back the hood of his plastic cape and looks up into the sky. It's blue-gray, the same color as the sea. Those words, the future teaches you. Pick up the gun. Who are you? Alright, let's start with that. Those words, the future teaches you.
Real music. Real brilliant cult. That's La Révolutionnaire, not your rock and roll misanthropy. Chanson de soldat of the black and whites.
Marching song. Forget about that for a moment. You need to address that remark first.
Oh, about being a misanthrope? I'm not a misanthrope, I'm a half-dead police officer who's doing his job. I know La Révolutionnaire is the marching song of the world revolution. I mean, whatever, he's not gonna take that well. I'm gonna go for that one. The marching song.
There you go. 1 of 3. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao, it was some Samaran shit, I guess.
La Chaulière, I've heard that name somewhere else. In a dream.
Everyone has. They named a fucking perfume after it.
No, that's not it. I've talked to her.
Talk to her.
He raises his bushy brow and looks down from the sky straight into your bloodshot eye. Get these cold spells. Yes, in the church. Because I talked to the city. Did I also have shivers in the church? I think it was the shivers. Just like when I was walking around.
It's the drugs you're all on. Druggies, whiners, and whores.
He closes his eyes in disgust. How does it go, the song?
How did it go?
He looks at his gun on the ground and shakes his head slowly.
Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now.
He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him.
Pick up his gun.
His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stopped and patched in places with tape and wire.
Inspect closer.
The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangong, 4.46
46.
made in Sinyao.
It's as he said, it's a Triangong made in Xinyao.
No one said it has to be a Belma grave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangong, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does.
Yep, 446.
The right type and the right calibre.
The lieutenant nods, glancing at the gun. Stow it.
The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession. In time.
Alright, who are you?
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol.
Commune. He has been here for some time.
I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull.
The Commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the...
From the Insulindian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in 07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in 08.
And that's what, like 50 years ago or something? Because isn't it like 51 right now? So nearly... God, this man is ancient.
I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
I was right, yeah, it is 51, and that it was 43 years, not 50, but I was just kind of rounding very broadly. You've been on the island for 43 years.
No. I've been on other islands, too.
Other islands in the bay?
I was an resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18.
Oh.
Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago.
Yeah, but in total, since your original desertion, you've been hiding for 43 years.
43 years and 10 months.
That's the length of my entire life.
It's too long. It's not how a human being should live. But I couldn't just forget what I saw.
He just couldn't.
You couldn't give up.
He nods. But he can now.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
He looks across the water.
Always waiting. Always.
For a fascist to kill. So I'm assuming that he had no... I mean, obviously he has no connection to anyone in Martinaise, so when he killed Lely, it was just more for himself, or for, like, the commune, I guess? For what?
For her to return.
What, La Revacholière?
Her who?
Girl child. Revolution.
Well, child revolution. I haven't heard that term. She better come. I, too, have given my life to Mazovian socioeconomics.
A waste. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
But there's this reading group you could join. You said you deserted your unit?
I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too.
Lapse of faith? Like, which faith?
You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took
For what?
for reaction to take hold.
If we have a tiny bourgeois person trying to run away. I mean, you were a child. You were, what, 16? So, we were afraid.
It's the same thing. You haven't seen it. Not really. Not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
It remains unclear what it is. He makes leaps he doesn't expect you to follow.
And this was when?
The lieutenant instinctively looks to his notebook, but does not take it out.
May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. Storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic.
Dark magic.
The combined might of international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower,
He gestures toward it.
huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
He looks east.
A terrible shame still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. The shame and smallness of what he became.
You didn't go to the map room.
No. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring,
He looks at the sky. What was that?
Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too. Shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality.
Seen what?
The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love. All the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know
What?
that the bourgeois are not human.
I've always suspected the same.
Now is not the time, Lieutenant Jeffrey.
He says gently.
I had to fight it. I could not stop anymore.
The old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin as he looks to some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. What is this place? Silent.
It's not an island, Dwight. It's a defensive fortification of the Commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender.
What was it used for?
The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world.
You mean the landing? Retaking of Revachol?
Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it
Deathblow, like the kiss in the dream of Dolores.
Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone.
Murderers, I know what you mean.
You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis,
Iblis?
the black-eyed angel.
He nods.
Shaitan Ahura, the Darkened One.
Huh. How have you survived all this time?
How does anyone survive? I steal
What do you steal?
supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
He coughs once more, then puts his hand on his belly.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns.
We have Druamine and other opioid-based painkillers. You must be in pain.
I have been running out of that stuff.
A light goes on in his eyes. He smacks his dry lips.
There's no way he could manage the pain without them. It's safe to say he is addicted to painkillers by now.
Man, should I... I don't want to, like, pester the man about being addicted to painkillers when he's dying of cancer. This is a serious situation. You need to be looked over, and we can do it.
There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund.
How have you coped mentally?
I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of...
His eyes roll into his skull and back.
I don't even know what. Inferno?
He's about to say something. Well, he'll probably say something even if I'm not gonna, like, try to be like, oh yeah, me too. I mean, this guy's been through literal hell. Harry's had a real tough time, but I mean, but it's like, I'm not trying to say Harry hasn't had things really bad and had a lot of pain, but I don't know if there's real comparison between what these two have gone through. I'm gonna just let Kim talk.
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult mentally to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round.
People have to put their lives back together. They can't just live like that in broken down ruins forever.
It's disgusting.
He looks down at his shoes, his face parched from the sun and the wind. There's a wince of pain in there somewhere. How have you concealed yourself all these years?
It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We Communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsoff coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequency's dead.
How did you get between here and the mainland?
At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted.
He falls silent, his gaze fixed on the shacks huddled together across the water. Why don't you walk there? The weapons cache. Have you been there? There's a small bunker under the Feld building. Why don't you walk there? I don't know if it's possible. It's over the water.
I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
Maybe the question was, why don't you just go there and, like, walk around? I don't know. The weapons cache under Sonkis Lane 22B?
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right?
They were.
Useless now. Rusted away.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across.
There's a small bunker under the Feld building. Have you stayed there?
The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
I mean, it did have quite a lot of, like, communist propaganda.
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys.
Killed themselves. Oh,
A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
you said this is your termless surrender?
You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol.
Coalition appointed, we try to help people. We're the good guys. We enforce the law. I know what it looks like, but I have secret plans to turn the RCM into a Mazovian revolutionary unit. More communist answers. Kim's not gonna like that.
Rock and roll posturing. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste en Soulande. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
His hand shakes and he breaks into a coughing fit.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said,
You never signed the Revacholian Instrument of Surrender.
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
he just wipes the blood from his chin.
I mean, it is kind of both of these things. Honorable, but he's not. He won't like any of the answers, I'm sure.
Honor is a feudal atavism. My motive is class.
So you're a communist soldier from the communist army?
No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army.
But you said you were trained and assigned to the Defense Corps.
Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
What does a political commissar do?
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the Commune.
The lieutenant said softly.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a night philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology.
That means you're a trained communist, right?
He nods slowly. Then another tremor.
I'm also a communist.
No, you're not. You're a liberast.
A liberist?
A liberal and a pederast. It's what most liberals are.
Not a liberal. I told you I'm a communist.
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology.
Well, I mean, this guy's not going to last long. What are we going to do? Send him to jail? I
We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
think we know our answer, but okay.
The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. There's definitely something off with his body. Something more than just metabolism or even cancer.
Something neurological? He is having a lot of tremors and... Okay, I have another serious question.
There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce.
What have you been using this gun for?
I've used it for killing people.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay.
That's lining up with my theory on why he would kill Ellie.
This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while.
But what?
This is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
So you're saying you killed people after active fighting stopped? Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor Crenell? I know you want to tell me. Have you killed anyone with that gun in the last week or two? So, let's see. Our strongest is rhetoric, which says to go in straight. And then hand-eye coordination, which is decent, says I should make him repeat it. So, it looks like that one's the rhetoric. The going in straight. Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor Crenell? Or which one do I say then? I'm thinking probably two.
The who now?
He leans in and cups his ear.
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
So the corpse in ceramic armor, hanging behind the whirling in rags, did you shoot him? The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of March 4th. His name's Ellis Courtenaire. He was part of a security detail in Martinez. A beautiful, strong man sent by the honorable private military. He wants to hear it again. Like, the name and everything, he wants to hear that. Or would he like... He probably would like that fascist death squad. Oh, okay. I'm leaning to that. The fascist death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of March 4th.
Oh, yes. That one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
The lieutenant takes a sudden step toward him.
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the Commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The gun. The murder weapon is the perfect opener. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
Let's see. I wonder if I'm going to get a chance to go back and do the white check. I thought I'd be able to do that one after the other things. So, pile on the proof. Hand-eye coordination says the murder weapon is the perfect opener, and the others seem kind of iffy. I got this, show him the gun. We've done the ballistics. What am I forgetting? Alright. I've got this. Show him the Chiangong.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistols. I've seen you prance around with those. Jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
And of course he was watching when that happened.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
We saved a lot of them. Elaine, the musician. Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it?
Dramatically asked, you think we have the murder weapon?
4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it.
I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon.
Good.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and draws a single line.
This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
The old man does not say more. He just glances into the reeds and then twitches once more. We've done the ballistics. Point to the tower. The shot came from this island.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession.
The lieutenant softens his voice.
You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascists for fascists. Done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not seem to have a scope.
One thing. Where's the scope? How did you make the shot without a scope? We have everything else.
Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now.
He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on.
You said fascies? You're admitting you killed him?
You're sad for your fascia brother, aren't you? One twig got broken. Now the others are sad.
He waves his hand. There's a twitch, then one more in his right eye. And that's a kind of a clever thing there, saying one twig got broken, since the word fascist actually derives from, like, I think that the word was, like, originally like sticks or a bundle of sticks, and that was also the, like, symbol for, like, I want to say, like, the Italian fascist party? I might be misremembering that, but I'm pretty sure. Come on, what am I forgetting? Hit yourself in the side of the head.
Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof.
Yeah, okay. What about the Maybells? Oh, yes!
There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. And Maybells on Clausia's balcony.
Okay, but how does that line up? I mean, they could have blown here.
And nowhere else. Nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them.
So what, he tracked them over, doing, like, reconnaissance?
Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now, they're gonna come up.
Of course, thank you. Thank you, Head, thank you.
You got it. Remember, the boot prints were like no modern soul.
Ah.
Maybe don't beat yourself anymore, though. You're not immortal.
Maybells, behind the victim's window. I saw them growing here. Point to them.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
I mean, that's the color of communism. I thought you might like that.
So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away.
I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martinaise, only here.
They blossom on the islets before we fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may.
A curious tremor passes his face. A young woman called Clausia. Ring any bells? Flowers like these were behind her window.
Clausia.
You know her, right? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary.
With the victim.
He turns his sight from the whitening field of flowers and falls silent. Then the muscles in his jaw twitch, a spasm.
There is a small tremble. Looks like a smile. A crooked smile. Yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst. Don't leave any loose ends. Get him on everything.
I wonder what brand of boots you're wearing.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Duras.
Fucking imbecile.
The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of his worn-out, old running shoes on his feet.
The maker is Sensorique. The model is Corbeil, and the size is 43. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
He could have other shoes.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Maybe it's simpler than that. Who cares about shoes? Maybe it's simpler.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Exactly like I said, he could have other shoes. That's not a difficult red check, that should be easy. People change shoes. It doesn't mean you weren't there, near the room the victim died in, sneaking around.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood.
He's a rapist. I'm not saying he just didn't deserve it. He was a killer, but he was still under protection of the law. He was a soldier, too. He was a man. Okay. He did terrible things. Like, he even talked about, like, didn't he brag about the people he had killed? But at the same time, the person is still subject to the protections of the law. And, like, if you pull away the protection for one person because they've done something, like, if you, like, for example, if you remove due process because somebody, you say, oh, he was a killer, and so therefore he doesn't deserve, like, a fair trial, for example, then what's to stop you from, like, starting to pull that away from everybody? Everyone deserves that protection, and if they've done something bad, they deserve to also receive punishment for it. I'm, like, walking circles around my own argument. And he was a person. I mean, I'm kind of, and I know this is kind of meaningless. It's probably going to go the same way no matter what, but I just feel like I need to decide it correctly. You know what? He was a person. He did bad things, terrible things, but he was still a person.
Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
So you shot him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fist begins to tremble from the anger.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
Hold your breath.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth.
He begins to smile.
I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her.
Then what?
Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
The lieutenant asks for a second of silence.
Yes.
Or after a second of silence. A single word is all he gives.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly.
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
He shrugs, then smacks his lips.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
Why were you looking at them that night? I mean, he could have been watching this guy for a while, and he just had a shot line up. Like, it just happened.
I'm always looking.
He cocks his head to the side, then turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his right side, lower in intensity.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
You pull the trigger.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
What specifically did you not like about what you saw the night of the murder?
Them. Fucking. I didn't like that.
So, you were jealous?
Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself. Drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second. Writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
How long had you been watching her? And if he was the peephole, he... Oh, okay. How long have you been watching her?
Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building.
Hiding her
It was
passport.
dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then. Just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
Yeah, smoking. Definitely her. What do you think she hid there?
Her passport and tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet Brut.
And I assume he knows because he took them.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
This is the hidden buoy she told us about. You looked into it?
After she was gone,
Oh.
Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty.
Oh, after she was gone, after the first time she went and dropped everything off in it.
no. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I'd put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better.
This implies that he's thought about extorting her. Also, a little inconsistency here. He was surprised to hear her name Clausia before. Would he not have seen it on the documents?
You saw her name on the passport, but before when I said her name is Clausia, you didn't seem to recognize it.
You didn't say Clausia in there.
Oh, fake name, right? Are you sure? We checked the submersible. There's nothing there.
Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers.
So that she couldn't have it?
A strange confusion comes over him from time to time. Some kind of aberration of the nervous system.
What did it say her name was in the passport?
It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face on the photo.
Moving on, did you continue watching her after this?
I did. She had a face like an archipelago with those birthmarks. And a body hard and lean and bruised all over. Black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook. On the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope.
And you could see her bruises through the scope of a rifle.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
Yeah, how does he know those minute details then? Footprints in the dust, could have changed shoes, found the peephole.
He must have climbed to the roof, maybe.
Ah, damn it. I had such a good chance. Okay. How did you get close enough to see her bruises, Mr. Dross?
I have my ways.
God, it was the peephole. I know it was the peephole. That red check would have given me that. A cracked smile appears on his dried white lips.
You've been through the secret route behind the whirling in rags. Those were your footprints. You just changed your shoes.
I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny.
Thank God, the lieutenant is picking it up.
Yeah, really, I know. God, how did I fumble that one? Another very high chance gone.
But that Nook too?
Because that was locked up and barred.
Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Keeps shaking his head.
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen?
Did he... He put the key out the window.
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
He points toward the whirling in rags.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
Did you have feelings for the woman? I mean, probably hate.
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know.
So he's been peeping on women this whole time. There have been others.
Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something.
Was that why you left the dried flowers behind her window?
No.
He starts to shake his head again, a sunflower on a withered stalk. Why then?
I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of our room on the floor, like she does sometimes.
When was this?
The day after I killed him.
So, she was crying because he was dead. I don't think it's just a thing she did sometimes in that case. And you brought her Maybells.
Yes. I don't know why I do the things I do anymore.
Did he really feel something, like feel bad for what he did, and just, he can't say it to himself, so he says it to her by bringing the flowers. You wanted to console her.
Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you. If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
He wipes his eye.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more.
So in conclusion, it wasn't about him. It was about her.
Her.
He repeats, staring at the ashes, then the reeds. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days.
She got away. We don't know where she is. She got away, but she led us here first. She figured out someone was watching her from the sea fort. Yeah, why not? She's gone. Tell him.
Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week at the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out, day by day, cigarette by cigarette.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? Enough. Take him in. Bend his arms behind his back and end this.
Been looking at anything else you haven't liked?
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar put of hatred.
More specifically?
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house. Stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst.
How come?
Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries.
He points inland.
Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it.
Of course, Mr. Clare.
Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class.
Anything more?
Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs.
He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. That all?
The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too.
He's talking about Renee, right?
Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Quayamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead.
Now I have some questions about this. God, what will come up?
We did good when we pushed him under the horse car. Until, in the 30s, those disco whores.
He breathes in, his breath heavy with hatred. You can't make out a single word.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
Okay. Something about the statue, the roundabout, and syphilis. The Union is a social democratic, and Mr. Clare is a farce. And then Renee. Okay, let's see about the statue.
Syphilis is a disease Philippe III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination.
Abomination?
The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
He breathes in with a wheeze of hatred.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad.
Well, if I say that, he's not he's not gonna care.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues, too. Hundreds of them.
But it's still there.
What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why?
Forgot to take it down. King is holy, statues are indestructible. King is holy and his statues are indestructible. Ironically. Cynical advertising yuppies erected a deconstructed version of it. Yeah.
That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working-class plastic explosives. And there it is again.
He shakes his head in disgust.
Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata.
Wait, the bullet hole in Philippe's heart. The statue had been shot. That was him. It had to be. He's already proven capable of taking a far more complicated shot from here.
It was you. You shot the statue. There's a bullet hole in the heart.
I did. A needless, sentimental gesture. I should have spared the bullet for a deformed monster of liberal capitalism. Shameful, really.
Yes, shameful. So many others to punish over the years. Isn't that right, detective?
That's it for the statue, then. Tell me, Mr. Dross.
The fat union man let them put it there. Corrupt as he is. Probably got a fat check for it, too. Shared with the law.
You mentioned the Union is social democratic, and Mr. Clare is a farce of a social democrat.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the Union's top brass.
Who's a disappointment? Everard Clare?
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
Have I met another person controlling the Union?
Edgar.
Oh, his brother. You mean Edgar? Edward's brother.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that.
You've talked to Edgar?
First against the wall with him.
He stopped poking at the ash now, just shakes his head.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to.
Have you approached them?
I haven't approached anyone. I've hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains.
He points to the path leading to the tower.
Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things.
When was this?
20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
What did you talk about?
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzoff. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzoff. Oh, and charity, too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought.
And he let you be here.
Let me be here? The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
Mr. Dross, did you kill the Crenel mercenary for the Clares to incite a riot?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something.
So if I say disco whores, I'll probably get a minus on this. By the cock parading in his colorful uniform, you mean Rene?
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac race traitor.
I'll probably get a minus if I let him get too agitated. All right, whoa, let's back off before you get too agitated.
What is there to be agitated about? The unholy ghoul. I love it there. He reminds me of everything we fought for. At least we killed Afristel and his kingsman.
He's overtaken by a coughing fit. It's only at 58%. Oh. And I've got plenty of points. I could throw some points into logic right now and get that up. 58%? Alright. What will that bring us up to? 72. Alright, let's do one more. 83. Should I do another? I've still got 4 points. Although I don't know if there might be another red check. God, I wish I could change outfits in conversation. I might want to just hold those, just in case. Alright, roll the dice.
The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
20 years ago, when you met Edgar, the Clares didn't run the Union yet, did they?
Hey.
A sputter from the old man.
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
Who did?
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
His eyes glisten suddenly with hatred. She was also a woman, wasn't she? Like that Clausia? Then she just disappeared. Let's go with the Clausia ankle.
She was. And she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muskova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work.
And then she just disappeared.
Called in, they say. On the eve of battle. Ran away. Vanished like a piss stain.
He squints and smiles at the black logs.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not.
You could swear you see the embers glow again under his eyes on the dust. Edgar had someone make the call. Why is that, Mr. Dross?
She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is. the bend in the river.
Why? I think I see where it's going.
Because she was dead.
Yep.
Just say nothing.
Alright, rhetoric. I'm going along. Say nothing.
The cow caught a bullet in her right lung, fell into the canal grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled? Hard to say. It was a sloppy job, and a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins are black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins.
You shot her.
Someone shot her. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory is full of holes. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal.
That sounds like the Claire's. A sputter again, nothing more.
If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk.
The lieutenant says in a voice even calmer, as if it were nothing at all.
We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Goat shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything.
But you did do it.
I saw it happen, and I liked it. That's all I have to say. I didn't live and fight for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it on Channel 8, 40 AM, Radio Revachol, late night. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
I guess I could ask about the disco wars now, but alright, I'll move on.
Glad.
Oh, I do still have this
It's all
one.
gone.
Composure. Let's throw... What does that bring us up to? 58? Okay, let's do one more. 72. Alright, roll the dice, assess his body language. Damn it.
For a 60-year-old man with stomach trouble, who spent his entire life alone on an uninhabited island, he seems surprisingly fit.
He does not. That's it?
He's clearly a drug user of the painkiller sort, prone to erratic hand gestures, and malnourished. But that's it. The moment passes, and you say,
God, I should have just done one at a time. It was a white check. Why did I was treating it like a red? Damn it. I don't think I have anything that can get my composure up either. That's that. That one's done. You know what? Let's ask about the whores.
his lip curls into a sneer at the memory.
Tell me about the disco whores.
Horse.
Is all he says. Even that word has to be pushed through his teeth with great force. The rage seethes too hard.
Glad. It's all gone.
He stares into the dust at his feet, gray and dirty spring grass all around. Yosef Lilianovich Dross, you're under arrest for the murder of Ellis Courtenaire.
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
The sum of all the erratic movements, fidgeting, and mood swings he's been exhibiting.
Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand?
You should have taken the deal about Edgar.
Do you understand?
But
Kim, he's afraid.
no, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
Oh. It's a red check. Perception. Where's my perception? 8. You know what? Go all in. It's red. 92. Damn it!
You thought you heard something, but
Fuck!
it's just the reeds.
God damn it!
Maybe we could all fit in there.
We could all fit in the little boat?
Actually, no.
Does it have room for 3?
Not really. We could escort him to the pier, then either one of us can take him inland while the other stays here. But
But then, who watches him while you're coming back here?
Right, who watches him?
you come back for me. How about I go and send a boat back for you?
You're in better shape. Probably for the best.
What is this farce? This is a fucking farce. I can't.
Lillian, you could ask her maybe.
Maybe I can just ask that nitpicker to watch him?
This is no harmless old man.
The lieutenant shakes his head.
This fucking world. This world. What is this?
Below the confusion and rage, a fit of jamais vu like yours? The thought passes, more pressing matters take its place.
No, listen. Listen now.
I was trying to listen. I failed the red check. God, I should have said the thing first. Maybe that would have given me a plus. Okay, I could send him, and I can stay, and maybe it'll let me listen. You could come back for me once you've taken him to the precinct. Yeah, alright, you go.
No, it would take a whole day on this island. You go and transport the prisoner. I'll be here. I can escort him to the pier with you.
No need to be polite, I'll do it. That doesn't seem to match up with like what was being said. I guess, okay.
This world. What are you talking about? Is this us?
The wind is cold from the east. Your skin is crawling suddenly.
What was I supposed to hear? Is it that cryptid? It's the cryptid! God damn it! It was real!
A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence.
All this time it was real. Okay, blink.
It's still there, an unfolding mechanism of reed-like chitin, hovering in place.
What is that?
What are you talking about?
The old man looks at the reeds, then at you. The giant stick insect.
There's nothing there.
He looks confused.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand move to your holster to grab the gun.
I've gone insane. There is, I see it.
Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds.
Kim, can you see it?
I can see
Oh my god, okay, thank you.
4 simple words, thank God. If he can see, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there, spinning slowly, in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender.
Be very, very careful.
The lieutenant whispers, then takes a step toward the giant arthropod.
Honorable One, you have accumulated a substantial amount of honor points on your
God,
life
this is
path.
not the time.
You are a man most virtuous.
Wait, there were honor points?
Of course there were honor points. Did you think no one was paying attention to all of your honorable deeds, Honorable One?
I try my best. It's the most any of us can do.
Oh, the modesty on this one. Another 10 honor points for you, sir.
Thank you, Authority.
You are on the fast track to becoming one of the rarest, most revered of all police officers, an honor cop.
My honor is my life.
Yes, your deeds have spoken for you, Honorable One. But to fully drape oneself in an eternal cloak of honor, a ritual must be completed.
Ah, jeez.
A rite of honor. Even among the honorable, only the most dignified are deemed worthy. But you, O Honorable One, have excelled in honor.
Okay, can we wrap it up, Authority? There is really something big going on.
Honor comes from deep within you, and to truly know oneself, to know one's honor, one must reach deep within oneself and touch one's honor.
Okay.
You need to bring the thumb of your right hand, your sword hand, to your rectum and stick it in there to form the Arch of Honors.
Saying I need to sit on my thumb. Put it right up my ass. What? I don't know. Just like that? Outside? What about people? All I ever wanted was to live with dignity, to die with honor. Crazy if you think I'm going to stick a finger in my ass. Just right out here? That's not...
People will be in awe, admiring a police officer most honorable, in a sacred ritual of uttermost righteousness.
Well, I guess at least I'm on an island with only Kim and... what's his face? Yosef and... You know, an otherworldly creature. Fine. Stick your thumb right up your ass.
What are you doing?
Lieutenant jumps away from you. I'm honoring myself, Lieutenant. I have lost my mind. I'm honoring myself.
I can see that. But do you have to do it where everyone can see you?
It's only you and that guy.
Have you no self-control? Please spare me this sight.
The lieutenant is a noble man, but he does not know honor like you and I do. Best not to waste time trying to explain. Lead by example.
I'll stick it right up there again.
Congratulations, Honorable One. You have become a member of a noble faculty. A man kneels, an honor cop rises. Go forth and commit even more honorable deeds. And should your resolve ever waver, remember the right of honor. It will always cleanse a man's soul.
Speaking of, I'm gonna need to wash my hands.
It is an honor to serve with you, honor cop.
Oh, for productive honor glands. Okay, we got something going on here.
The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from his head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It is no more than 5 steps away from you. Reed-like tufts stick out of its joints. As the insect moves its forearms, it produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks.
This is the Insulindian Phasmid.
It is.
Is that a camera? Did he pull out a camera, or is that binoculars? The lieutenant whispers behind you. You hear the familiar ring of his jacket unzipping, slowly, painstakingly so.
You glance over your shoulder. The lieutenant holds a piece of milled aluminium. He begins to pull it open extremely carefully. It's the camera. No, the flash will scare the creature off. Warn him now.
The flash is loud. It won't like that.
We need a photo. No one will believe us.
Continues to pull the lens open.
From the corner of your eye, you see a sudden cascade of motion ripple through the phasmid's limbs. A series of ultrasonic clicks fills your ear.
Let me approach it first.
I won't be one of those fools who didn't take a picture.
He has stopped fiddling with the camera, but does not put it down.
You see the phasmid turn to him, its mandible antennae reaching out. Its motions are quick, sudden.
Oh, the pheromone. I have the pheromone. I can approach it.
I don't think the pheromone will do anything.
His whisper turns to a skeptical hiss, but he's stopped now.
The spindly mechanism turns itself back to you, its antennae taking their measure of the air, slowly.
Oh. Okay, I'll try this first, maybe? Or... Oh, should I try to talk first? Because it's a gamble on whether it'll give me a negative or not. And it's already 83%. Do I have a... I do have 1 point. And 1 electrochemistry. So if it gives me a negative, I could put 1 more in. Alright, say something quietly. Something like... Just don't be afraid.
Nothing changes in the cyclical brain motion of the creature's limbs. They are porcelain white on the inside and reed-colored on the out, beige, light brown, and striped. You are unsure if it is scared or not. Its insect mind is impenetrable to your reasoning.
Alright. We are absolutely going to put 1... That was electrochemistry, yeah. Alright, absolutely. Spend that last point. 92. Do not fail, I swear to God.
Slowly, with your breath held, you take 2 small steps toward the phasmid. The creature lets out a series of ultrasonic clicks that swarm around your head like swallows. Sweat drips from your brow, soaking your chest. You reek of it, your chemicals. The tracheal system on the creature's abdomen expands in front of you to take in and expel air. It's smelling you. Hissing and clicking, it extends its mandible-like antennae to greet you. You're right below it now, looking up at the colossal chitin of its white limbs. The head of the creature is crowned by reeds, and its eyes are like small droplets of water.
It's smelling me.
Maybe it is real, the pheromone.
The lieutenant's mouth is agape.
About now, he is ready to believe in anything.
Yeah, you see this thing?
The insect's head is crowned with reed-like scales, the shape of seed heads. They rustle as the air moves. The ventricles at its abdomen continue expanding, like lunglets. Breathing you in, your sour, greasy semiochemicals on the breeze.
Raise your hand slowly.
The insect stops its stridulation, seeming to observe you. Below its crown of reeds, little pinprick eyes detect motion, glittering. The world stands still around you. Suddenly, there is silence.
Raise your other hand?
As you do, the invertebrate comes to life, its limbs moving independent of each other, as if each has a mind of its own. They are white, like stalks of porcelain, knitting above you, praying to you.
Praying? Don't pray to me. I'm nothing.
The reed creature does not stop its stridulations. It towers above you, parting the reeds it emerged from. Tuft-like structures still rustle on its joints. Perhaps it is preparing to eat its god.
Hello, I'm Harry. I don't really know who I am.
No reply. A total ancient silence comes from its mouth, along with what appears to be some kind of foam. The stridulations of its limbs continue all around you.
stand on your tiptoes and look more closely.
You were right. Little bubbles form on the mouth parts of the creature, on its segmented lower lip. It looks to be foaming, slowly. The foam is white, then yellowish. The faintest smell, like you've never felt before, like burnt roses.
Kim, it's foaming.
Careful. It may be poisonous.
The lieutenant watches you apprehensively.
The foam slowly turns a darker shade, like burnt caramel, as the insect moves its mouth parts, masticating. The little bubbles begin to burst, one by one.
Is it, like, digesting something?
Letting out that same smell, like summer burning.
Oh. Oh. Why is this related to the Hanged Man? And I know of parthenogenesis. Okay, tell me, what are you doing?
I exist.
Ha! It speaks. I exist too, I'm a detective. Is this a dream? What are you? I have to say goodbye. I exist too?
Tell me what it's like for you.
Fire, burning. Wunderbar, I'm ill. I mean, fire could go either way.
Fire? Where?
Inside.
I do not have fire inside me. In me, there is not even blood, but lymph, like sap from a wine palm. Now, I will tell you what it's like for me. For me, it is a series of half-lit images, a kind of darkness, being intruded upon, transient, dim, moist.
Intruded upon by what?
Shapes of plants and animals, and internal sensations, a swarm of sounds, tiny vibrations on the inside of my forearms, all speak of complexities totally beyond my understanding. I am at the end of a narrow funnel, weightless, so light, it only feels like something to be me. In truth, perhaps I'm nothing. I certainly do not have a soul, and if I did, it would never burn.
The type of animal I would like to be, I'm glad to be me. An incredibly sensitive instrument. That's Harry, alright.
Few of us can begin to imagine the horror of you, with all of creation reflected in your forebrain. It must be like the highest of hells, a kaleidoscope of fire and writhing glass. Eternal damnation, even when you're sleeping, and when you wake, you carry it around on your neck, with eyes open that cannot help but swallow more behind the mirror. I feel great, mute empathy for you.
He's getting better. It was disorienting at first, but I'm keeping my shit together.
That must be incredibly hard. The Arthropods are in silent and meaningless awe of you. Know that we're watching. When you're tired, when the vision spins out of control, the insects will be looking on, rooting for you. And when you fall, we will come to raise you up. Bud from you, banner-like, blossom from you and carry you apart in a sky funeral, in honor of your passing. But not me, because I'm just a leaf eater.
In honor of your shit, Lieutenant Ephraitor, which you kept together in the face of total unrelenting terror, day after day, second by second. Detective!
I am a detective.
So am I. I was born to detect sucrose rewards and semiochemicals. What were you born to detect?
Also that. The killer? I was born to detect you? mean, I feel like nobody else could have actually done it. Harry had to be the person.
Yes, no one detected me for such a long time. For thousands of years, I dithered, out of sight. Trapped myself in greenery.
This is my masterpiece.
No one believed I exist. Almost no one. Until you came, detective. Dripping of blood that smells like strawberries. Across the calm sea. The first in 1,000 years.
Is this a dream? What is happening?
No, you're awake. I am real. Light is forming me. This is real.
Where does this come from? All this? Around us, the world?
Not even the birds know that. Not even a water lily.
We need to know. Perhaps it's a god, or then all we can do is beat our fists against it with no answer. I mean, at this point, maybe there is a god. I don't know.
I think we should eat it. If it's a leaf, you can put it in your mouth. Or read. Yum yum.
Wait, so
So you look like a reed, and you eat reeds?
Yes, they don't mind.
Have you accidentally eaten another reed, Phasmid?
Yes, I once cloned myself and ate the little ones. It was winter, and I woke up at the wrong time. It was an accident.
What exactly are you?
I am an unknown species of the order Phantasmadia, endemic to the Insulandian Insula. For the last 350 years, I have hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the reeds, molding, cloning myself, unfolding at night to play with trashkins and boys.
I wonder if this whole time, anywhere I've seen reeds, there have been some of these just hiding in plain sight that I just couldn't detect.
No one unnoticed by the first settlers and the land surveyors of the suzerain. Also, by the soldiers of the revolution and officials of the occupation. Even the Seminese islanders who came here first, but did not stay, have not seen me. I have stayed hidden through 4 forms of government and 2 scientific revolutions, until I was accidentally discovered by a detective of the citizen militia in Rebelshaw, district of Martinez, March 51.
It's insane!
No, you are.
Oh, yeah,
The
probably.
moral of our encounter is, I am a relatively medium life form, while it is you who are a total extreme madness. A volatile simian nerve system ominously new to the planet. The Pale too came with you. No one remembers it before you.
Ah,
The Nidarians do not. The radially symmetrics do not. There is an almost unanimous agreement between the birds and the plants that you are going to destroy us all.
wait, the Pale is human-made?
It is a nervous shadow cast into the world by you, eating away at reality. A great, unnatural territory. Its advent coincides with the arrival of the human mind.
I don't have that kind of power.
You're a violent and irrepressible miracle. The vacuum of cosmos and the stars burning in it are afraid of you. Give me enough time, you will wipe us all out and replace us with nothing. Just by accident.
How?
We suspect it will be something like the oxygen holocaust that wiped out anaerobic life 2.6 billion years ago, when organisms first started breathing. Only much worse.
I mean, humans, at least in the real world, are kind of on the way to causing their own, like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Great extinction event. What is it? The Anthropocene extinction event or whatever?
instead of air, you exhale thoughts. There are no trees that eat thoughts.
Worse how?
Everything your eyes touch was back there, behind the nose mirror. What if you blink? Are we still here? Please don't blink. What if you misplace us all one day, or just forget?
Blink quickly. Have I always thought this way? But I want to blink and undo 12 billion years of matter expansion. I've already forgotten the whole world once when I drank too much. I mean, I'm gonna have to blink. Have I always thought this way?
No, you're only thinking it now. This is a revelation.
I've already forgotten the world once when I drank too much.
So it is already happening. Soon, one of you will close your eyes and open them to see that none of this ever existed.
Am I having a violent epileptic seizure?
It doesn't look like that, no.
What does it look like?
You're just staring at it.
Then, I think I'm having a vision about the final fate of mankind.
Okay. Is it somehow related to the case?
That's what you ask? The case is meaningless compared to this. No, I told you what it's about, our fate.
I think we should take the picture, and then you should back away from the unstudied species.
I have to say goodbye now. I have no more thoughts, that was all.
No, there is one more.
No, there are no more thoughts. Of all the creatures I've met, you're the kindest, the scariest, the most beautiful. It is a very kind creature. Alright, you're kind.
Thank you. I also have one more thing to say to you. That woman, turn from the ruin. Turn and go forward. Do it for the working class.
I will, Phasmid. I'll leave her behind.
She was middle class. It doesn't take a 3-meter stick insect to tell you that.
Okay, Kim. Take the picture.
Okay.
With a slow ring of metal, the lieutenant slides the lens open and raises it to eye level.
There is no change in the insect's motion while it's being aimed by the camera. It remains fixated on you.
In 3. If it moves, you jump back. I'll shoot. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
The shrill flash of the camera cuts the air like the blade of a sword. The phasmid freezes in its bright light. Head turned toward the lieutenant, hypnotized by the flash. It stands frozen before you.
I got it.
You hear the lieutenant whisper as the creature's shape develops into photo paper in his hand. A polychrome ghost of white streaks against the reeds of the sky, and you, a shadow before it. Reach out and touch its whisker. Carefully pet its scythe-like forearm. I mean, it's a plant eater. I don't have to worry about it, like, trying to kill me. Unless Harry's just imagining that. Touch its forearm.
The limb before you is incredibly light, like eggshell. It's much lighter than a reed. You feel a soft push could tip the creature over. Its hollow exoskeleton collapsing. Warning!
Okay, warning. Pull your hand away.
A sudden shiver passes the limb. Looks like the creature is awakening, wave by wave from its stupor. Some sort of countdown process is happening. That's all you have time to think.
Okay, touch the whisker.
The antennae hang from a great height. With your hand shaking, you barely touch the tip of the left whisker. On contact, the chitin curls into a spiral, like the tip of a poison ivy. Its touch on your fingertip feels cold, ticklish. The sensation is electrifying, resounding through your body. It is surprisingly delicate, the curly end of the whisker, like a young vine. It's even a bit wet.
Be careful, detective. It's moving.
Look at your finger.
You were right. It glistens with some kind of moisture. The creature in front of you stays frozen.
Lick your finger? Oh, Harry, do it.
It tastes like sugar.
I was gonna say.
Very faint. The anthropod towers above you, tufts of reeds pointing from limb and head alike.
I was gonna say it probably tastes of the sucrose that the thing searches for and eats.
Odorless, mostly comprised of water.
We got it.
Another shudder pulses through the creature's limbs. It jolts back to life, like a record continuing where it left off, in a swaying, praying motion. Even the small black pearls of its eyes do not stray from you.
Disengage slowly.
As you're turning away, the phasmid mirrors your movements, stepping on the water, the long limbs carrying its feather weight without breaking its surface.
God, I wish that Lena was still there.
Just like that, it's gone, skating away across the sea's calm mirror like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but circles on the water.
Lena and Morel would shit themselves.
And something under it, in the place it stood, bobbing there, among the reeds, a collection of items.
Would it have left behind?
It's gone.
The lieutenant looks north with his hand raised to his brow. It can walk on water?
Apparently, yes. Like a water strider. Only, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
What's that in the reeds?
Looks like a nest of some sort. We should have a look.
What now?
What now?
The old man behind you repeats suddenly. He's put his hand into the ash. It's dirty and black.
Our suspect is not looking so good. We need to check on him.
Okay. I've gone way over. I'm going to save right here. We're like 2 hours and 15 minutes. So, what an eventful episode. I'll see you guys next time. Good night.